You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
I had this Frankenstein monster of different equipment that didn't work well together, a format that didn't really fit me, all of that kind of stuff. And so that was probably the first 50 to 100 episodes. And I think as I look back over that, there were so many things that I did wrong. But I think probably the one thing that I would suggest for any new podcaster is just...
Isn't that just like a podcaster, just to cut you off just when the good stuff happens? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I am, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better. That little tease you had, that was Bryan Entzminger. He is a podcast editor, and he and I go into a lot of detail here about podcast editing. So you'll learn his top three pieces of advice for podcasters when they edit. You'll hear about how he created a course for a podcast editing software, which I highly suggest you guys check out. It's great. And you'll hear about how he fell into his role of podcast editing. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, guys, let's jump into the episode, and I'll catch up with you at the end. So how did you start getting into podcasting specifically?
So I guess it started back in about 2013. I was involved in some volunteer work. I was working full-time, had a family, but I just kind of was looking for something a little bit more, and I really enjoyed podcasts. And I thought, I've got some background with audio. I'd done some composition stuff. I have my degrees in music. And so I thought, I probably have the skills to pull off podcasting. And so I started thinking, okay, well, is there an audience that I can serve? And I identified what I thought that audience was. And that's how I got in. I just got started. I interviewed a person I knew, asked him if he knew anybody, and just kept going from there. And that show ran for 276 episodes.
Yeah. And so what is the one lesson you learned, apart from having to just start it, obviously, about podcasting? What did you learn in that first 200 episodes or first 100 episodes about, what was the podcast about, actually?
Sure. Yeah. So I interviewed missionaries and church planners and talked about their experiences, where they were, what they were doing, the opportunities that they saw. At the time when I first got started, I didn't know anything. I knew that I didn't know how to do guest research. I knew that I didn't know any of that. And I also worked full time. And so I found a format that I thought would work for me, which was the John Lee Dumas 20 question type thing, which would have been back in 2013, 2014. Every guest gets the same question.
Exactly kind of what's going on right now.
Yeah. No. But I knew that I needed a framework to help get me started. I knew that wouldn't end up being the end all be all, but I ran with that for probably 50 or so episodes before I started trying to tweak it. And so in that, I started to develop my voice. I learned that some of the advice I got early on was not great. What had happened is I got some advice from one place, and then I found a course to help me launch the show, and I got advice from another place, and I pieced it all together, and I had this Frankenstein monster of different equipment that didn't work well together, a format that didn't really fit me, all of that kind of stuff. And so that was probably the first 50 to 100 episodes. And I think as I look back over that, there were so many things that I did wrong. But I think probably the one thing that I would suggest for any new podcaster is just find one person that you trust and listen to that person until you get your feet under you, and then start going, okay, can I find another person that I might want to get some additional information? Because otherwise you're going to ask a question in a Facebook group and you're going to get 26,000 different answers. And I'm not overestimating too much. You're going to get thousands of answers and you're not going to know what to do. So that would be the one thing that I wish I had done differently specifically was that whole listening to just one person.
Yeah. But with that, you get that amazing knowledge, because it's now you have all this knowledge and you can use it to launch other podcasts like you have. I'm guessing you have at least another 2 podcasts going.
Yeah, so I've actually got 2 podcasts on hiatus right now. One of them was the Engaging Missions Show, which is on an indefinite hiatus. Another one I started just to help develop my voice as a solo podcast host, which I called 1000 Podcasters. That's on hiatus. And right now I'm co-hosting the Podcast Editors Mastermind, which is focused for podcast editors on the business side of podcast editing. So not how do I tweak this EQ and what service, like we cover some of that, but it's really about the business thing. Like how can I find clients? What about email lists was a recent one that's got me going, okay, now I've got to go do that. Like that kind of stuff, right?
Yep. The whole business of running a podcast is learning what can be taken in another business and put into a podcast.
Yeah. And there's so much growth. I mean, the thing about podcasting is it's all public, right? You publish, so your failures are obvious. So there's this pressure to continually improve. And I find that for me, that I've really enjoyed that challenge.
Yeah, like I had my original podcast that's currently on hiatus. It will come back. Is the Phil Better Show. It was all about movies, and I put I tried to find everything. I look back on it, I'm like, I'm very glad I did that because it was a mess. It's a mess, but it's my chaotic mess that I enjoy because I do have joy from it. But I learned a lot of lessons that I'm inputting now, and I did find one person to follow. So now I'm following that one person. That's I need to, because they will help me grow this side. And so that's what I'm doing.
Can I ask who that person is? I'm nosy.
I'll tell you off air because I don't know if he has, I don't want to put him in a place or anything like that. But so he's teaching me. So I'm learning that, and it's great. Now I know I need to listen to better my audio. So I'm going to listen to your podcast. I'm going to listen to people you suggest on the business side, or I may just pay you because, why not? You have a business. Why not invest in you? And that's what's great because this podcast, I get to meet people who do. I know nothing about editing a podcast. Who knows? My basic is, okay, I know I have to keep 10 seconds of silence. So I have a base of the noise in my apartment and then get that taken out. And then it sounds okay. That's about it. That's the level of my podcasting editing ability. And when I can, I'll pay someone to do it because someone needs it. You have a job. I have a need. If you can take that off my hands, yay.
Selfishly, I appreciate your perspective.
I look at it, who's better. I can start it. If I can make money on this, then I can give it to someone else who is more enjoys doing it, because editing podcasts is not my fun thing. Talking to you because you have a business about editing podcasts, or you have multiple podcasts, you do it as a living, that's interesting to me. How did you do that? How did you stumble into this life of editing podcasts and the growth of podcasting and your business model? That's a genius business model that no one else has because it's yours.
Oh. Nice.
You're a digital entrepreneur and you're the brand, and it's great. Top tier audio. That is one, it's a great name because it shows that People have to go ridiculously above it now. They have to go the extreme top tier. And it's like, maybe not. You have that great, you're at that level. You're the top tier, in audio. So boom, you have that great name. So you're branded perfectly, and you have the expertise from your previous podcast, plus the podcasts you edit and you host now and all this great stuff.
Well, I appreciate that. I feel like I should probably clear one thing up. I actually do have a day job as well. And so
wow, you have a day job as well?
Yeah, I have a day job, and then I edit. I currently have 8 shows that I edit. Mm-hmm. And then the one show that I co-host. And so because I co-host with other editors, we sort of rotate through the editing. So I don't carry all of the editing weight on that one.
That's smart. That's super smart.
We originally built it so that we could invite other podcast editors on and they would have the opportunity to edit as well, but not all of them take us up on that.
I read that in the bio of it, and I'm like, that's genius. Because one, everybody has their own unique twist to editing. It's like video editing, or it's like movie editing. Like if you watch a John Woo movie, you know exactly what kind of movie you're going to get because he has that style. Same with podcast editing. Because someone may do it a little different. Like you probably edit completely differently than I do. And obviously your audio quality is probably superior to mine, but that's your style. My style is very basic, keep it thing until I can pay someone to do a better job.
Yeah.
And so that's how
and there's
it works.
nothing wrong with that, right?
Not at all. Because I'm also learning, because I'm going to be like, okay, maybe I want to make my thing a little better. So I go on YouTube or I listen to a podcast that's about editing. And I'm like, oh, so I can do that with that. And I saw that you also have I think you're, an interface you use,
Hindenburg. Yeah. It's the editor that I use.
Like, I'm like, oh, I've never heard of this because all I heard of the previous ones from when I first started podcasting, right, was Audacity because it's free, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Audacity's okay. I know it's not the primo thing, but if you're starting, don't have any money, it's the best thing in the world because it's free.
Yeah. Well, and I know some pro editors that use Audacity very well.
Mm-hmm. It's not a bad tool. It's just you have to learn how to use it properly. So there's that. But I'm like, oh, this seems interesting. You use it. You're professional. Maybe I should take a look at it. And I will. I never heard of this, but I'm going to take a look at it because it seems interesting. Maybe it's something that could be helpful for podcasters. If it is, sign me up. If it makes my life easier.
I mean, I think it is. And I think the thing that sets it apart from most of the other software is it was built specifically for editing, for dialogue. It wasn't built for mixing music. And by the way, you can also cut and slice too. It was built specifically for editing. And so it's heavy on that feature set and not so much on all the technical stuff of how you might mix music.
Yeah. Like the equalizing the audio and all that. This is so it's for like post in movie terms, it's
it's the dialogue editing.
Yeah. The dialogue. Oh, already sold. If that's sold, like if that's I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to literally, do you have a referral link for it?
No, they don't actually offer any of those. So I would just point you to Hindenburg.com.
There we go.
That's where you get it. They've got I want to say it's like a 30-day free trial. I could be wrong on the number of days, but try it out. If you don't like it, don't get it.
Yeah, there we go. I'm going to try it out. And if it works great, yes, I'm going to use it because if you like it and you're obviously a podcast editor and you're better than me, obviously, because you've studied this and you've understand this and you run a podcast with other podcast editors. So I'm guessing you're pretty good at this and you're saying this is a good one to use. I'm going to use it. Makes my life easier. I like it. Simplify. This is why I like talking to people who are on podcasts because it's like, I did my research. What did you do? That's how you do it? It's great. It's great. Once you make money and you can upgrade, I can't wait to take a look at it. But more about your business. Like, how did you, what are the lessons that you learned to build it? Like your side hustle, like obviously you have your day job and that's important, but you're trying to build this side hustle to build the podcasting and audio. And how did you start doing it? Like, when did you decide, you know what, I'm going to take the risk and jump?
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot of questions there.
Yeah. You pick whichever one you want.
So maybe I could just start with the story of my first client. Cool. My first client was actually a guest on my first show. He was a guest. He does short-term travel stuff, and he had a background in radio. And after he had been on my show, he was like, man, I really miss being behind the mic. Would you mind if I produced a 1 to 2 minute segment for your show? You can just put it in your show every week. And after about a year, he came back to me and said, hey, this is fun, but it's really hard to keep it down to 2 to 3 minutes. Can we, or 5 minutes or whatever it was, can we spin this off and make it its own show? And so, boom, first client because of that. And then I started with the very low price of free. And I offered that to him, and he did a lot of on-location stuff. He did a lot of remote calls, like you're using Zoom. He used Zencaster, that kind of thing. And so I got a lot of experience with things that happen when you're recording with people on a farm or that kind of stuff, because he would go to remote places and he would do those recordings. And so I got a lot of that experience. And then from that, I just kept building that portfolio and kept connecting with other people, and then started adding additional clients to the portfolio that paid, and then got him on a pay schedule. And now I've got, I think I do some subcontracting work for a production company. So I've got 4 shows through them. And then I've got a couple shows through the guy that was my first client. And then I've got a couple of other shows that I do as well.
There you go. Like, so you started off free, moved it all the way to now you're getting, I saw you have like $95 an hour, which is a great rate for some of your things. And obviously you have other prices. That's just great. Period. End of discussion right there. You took a hobby that you made a business. Cause I don't know if you enjoy podcast editing.
I do actually. I know it's nuts.
It's not, because I enjoy talking to people, and people are like, I hate talking to people, but this is a different type. You're teaching me something I never knew. And for me, that's great. That's exciting. Like, you have a business I never thought of. I would never have thought podcast editing. Are you crazy? No one can make that work. And you're telling me that you have 8 shows.
Well, and I actually tried to avoid it for a long time because I didn't want a service-based business. I wanted a product or something that I could sell over and over that didn't require additional time. But what I discovered is I'm actually pretty good at this, and getting the experience at this had helped me then to where I now have a course for other people that are getting started with Hindenburg. And I've got I participate in several groups providing either free or paid consulting, because I'll pop into Facebook groups, and if it's an easy question that I can answer in text, yeah, I'll do it because I want people to get better. But I get a lot of those interactions, and I really enjoy those. Yeah.
And that is how you get some of your, your side hustle, your business growing as well. You create your brand in essence, because you're now creating a brand, and you're taking your stuff and learning about creating your brand, and you're doing positive work. I know you, like you said, your first podcast was talking with missionaries and I know you do a lot of charity work and, volunteer work, which is great. I do the same. I love that, giving back, because the more you give back, the more you receive. That's how I think about it. You're helping me because you're teaching me about the audio editing side of the business. And I just found a possible audio editor for me, in the future. I interviewed you. You were kind enough to come on. I'll send my business your way. And if I get more people, I'm like, yeah, my buddy, he's really good. He's the best editor. You should try him, Bryan, he's the best. And boom, I'll send you business. I have no problem. This is me talking to you is boom, pure profit for you, because sometime down the road, someone's going to listen to this and it's going to come your way. And that's all I care about.
I appreciate that.
I don't want to become famous. I want to help other people make wealth. That's my goal. My goal with this podcast, I'm interviewing people. I've had the story of a radio host who became a podcast network host and his own podcast. Yeah. He went from starting off in the old school, and now he's in the new school. I had a affiliate marketer teach me something, which is never thought about that. I'm how can I use that for podcasting? I'm learning about that side of the business. I now have someone who edits podcasts. And when I start making money, I have someone that I can edit my podcast for. And like, one, I help him grow. So I become part of your success story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. And like, whether you decide to continue or not, doesn't matter. I'm still part of your story. And that's what's great. I'm a supporting character helping you promote your business. I'm talking too much. It's back to you.
So I guess one thing that you had asked that I didn't really talk about was sort of lessons learned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably the hardest thing for me to learn as I've been working full time with a family and also building a business and podcasting on the side, balance, or whatever you want to call it, has been a real struggle for me. And I think the thing that I was a bit too slow to learn is to listen to my wife. When she tells me, no, I know it kind of sounds silly, but when she tells me that the kids need more time with me, like, that doesn't need to be, okay, I'll take that as a nice piece of input and make a decision. That means I've noticed that you're already past too far. You need to pull it back right now. And so I'm trying to do a better job of that, because she's done a really good job of that, but I don't always listen very well.
Mm-hmm. No, and the reason why I was laughing is because everybody hits that moment in their life. Like, it could be, for you, it's your wife telling you, hey, you should be with the kids, like,
yeah.
And you're realizing, like, oh, if I don't do this, I'll go down this route and it's not going to be good. I've been down this route. It's bad. So now you're trying to level it so that you can go. Me, I hit a wall. I had not a big break, but an emotional break. I had a burnout, but I needed that because I was going down a bad route.
Mm.
And I switched my whole thinking to, okay, I love helping people. How can I do that, but also help me, like, not burn myself out, which is
right.
Talking to podcasters, talking to online entrepreneurs. You're becoming an online entrepreneur with your podcast editing, because we do this virtually. We don't have to meet in person nowadays to edit something. Like, I don't have to go down to a recording studio. I can build a recording studio here, and then I can digitally give you the file, and you can do it, which is great. So, like, this is what I love about this digital world. It's changing everything.
Yeah.
Learning about digital businesses is just so great, because I'll never look down that route. But now I can be like, cool, how can I help him get bigger? Or, like, what's down there? Is there a business down there for me? No? Okay, we're going to go this way. But, like, I want to help you build. If I learn anything, send it your way. If I get people who are like, Phil, do you have an editor? Yes. His name is Bryan. He's amazing. Go listen to his podcast. If you don't if you listen to me, go listen to him. Like, this is it. Like, it's done. Like, this is so great, it's amazing. I'm sorry. I like to talk too.
Yeah. Well, that's a common malady among podcasters, isn't it?
Yeah. Talking too much. But so, what other things do you wish? What are you looking at doing? Like, are you looking to grow? How are you looking to grow the other podcasts, like the one with the editors? I'm guessing you're all in on the promotion. Or are you not on the promotion?
Yeah. So I'm actually taking a podcast growth course right now.
Awesome.
Because it's with Eric K. Johnson. He's got, I want to say, like 30 years experience as a radio program director and talent development specialist.
Okay.
And he had a course on how to grow your audience. I'm about 3 weeks in, and I'm about 2.5 weeks behind on it right now, because finding the time has been challenging. But that's one of the things, because I do want to grow that show, not because any of us actually make any money from it, but because it does help the podcast editing community, because right now it's largely a cottage industry, which means it tends to be a little bit fragmented. And, you've got the group of people that are on Fiverr that are getting like $5 an episode, some of them are way better than $5 an episode, but they don't have the confidence to go, well, wait a minute, that's not anywhere near the going rate for somebody that does what I do. Mm-hmm. And so want to help with that. In terms of the business, I'm at the point where I'm pretty close to maxed out. I could probably take on 1 or 2 more shows, but that doesn't get me past the income hurdle that replaces the income from my day job. And so I'm looking at that going, is there a structural change that I need to make? Do I need to launch another course? Do I need to be better at promoting courses? The answer is probably yes to all of that. Right. And it, we're in the group that I'm the podcast editors mastermind. We're in goal planning season right now for 21. And so I'm looking at 21 going, what might this look like from a success standpoint? And like, what do I think I can actually accomplish? And do I have the resources that I need to do that? And I don't know the answer yet. Like, I feel like I'm pretty near that place of, what's it called, where a chemical reaction keeps going?
The tipping point. It's the tipping point.
We'll call it the tipping point.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I'm quite there, and I'm not sure what it takes to push the ball over that edge to make it tip. So I'm right there.
So what's really exciting for me is because I'm starting my business. Like, I'm way behind you. Like, you have your skills already. You have your course. I'm looking at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking to get there. So like, for me, I'm like, oh my God, I have a success that I know. He gets to a point where he has to decide what's the next step. Like, what's your tipping point? Like, and you've already invested in that course. And I'm like, so, okay, so my investment that I just did, because I was somewhat nervous, not going to lie, I invested in myself, right? Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
Is what you have to do. And I finally took that with my mentor, and I was like super worried that it was a bad step, but already I'm seeing dividends, and I haven't really done a lot. Like, we literally started Sunday. So like,
okay.
We started yesterday. And like, I'm already excited because I'm like, I've talked to you and I'm like, oh my God, my goal now is to get you to do my podcast, like to edit my podcast. That's a goal now I've just set for myself. Because one, it helps you better your craft, but also makes my podcast sound better.
Yeah.
Great. And like, so I'm keeping it in the community because like what I learn, you can learn because you're going to be listening to my podcast to edit it. So you're like, oh, I can take this and you'll be learning as well. And so that's what I love.
I do that all the time. I edit several shows where I'm not the target audience, right? I edit several shows that are targeted specifically to women, but the information is great. And I feel like I kind of get to cheat and sit in as part of these communities that I'm not excluded from, but I'm not specifically invited to either. And it's really cool.
So what's really great about that is I was just watching Emmanuel Lewis. He does a show on YouTube and on Instagram called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And he mentioned the episode I watched was him sitting with 4 cops beside him, okay, 2 on each side, and the rest of the room was full of cops. And he's having this uncomfortable conversation as a Black man with police. And they're asking him questions that he's bridging that uncomfortable conversation that most people don't want to have. And he's like, look, we have to have it because we want to get better as humanity, right? And so he said something that like it resonated with me. It's like, fear is inclusion breeds happiness, and like non-inclusion breeds fear. Because it was like, how many of you have, like, his first question was like, how many of you sat with a Black man in the last year at your table? Or like, when was the last time you sat with a Black man at your table, or sat and had a conversation with a Black man? And these are all white police officers pretty much. And so they all answered like, I can't answer. I don't know. I don't think ever, And it's like, well, if you don't include like people, so like you listening to podcasts with women, you're getting a knowledge that is better than everything, because you're like, everybody else is excluded from this because this is a woman's podcast, or this is a podcast about travel, or it's a podcast about something else. And you're getting there and you'll be able to take the ideas, like, may not work in your podcast editing, but hey, in my personal life, this is great. I now understand what my wife is saying.
Yeah. I mean, these are actually, like, one of them is a business show that's specifically for women. So it's, yeah, I'm totally getting to sit inside of this, and it's probably not a show that I would subscribe to because it's very clearly branded toward women. Right. And so it's not that I'm afraid to do that, but it kind of grabbed me because I edit it.
It's very simple, because you're looking at it and you're like, well, this is they know their target audience. I'm way outside their target audience. They're branded for their target audience. But hey, it's maybe beneficial that I jump outside what I'm a target for. Like, this is a podcast about business for women, but there's a lot of lessons that I relate to because I understand this person because you've listened to them so long. So their ideas sink in and you're like, and it just percolates. And then you're like, oh, that makes sense. Or this makes sense. And this makes sense. Yeah. And it's like great. And you got this, it is an unfair advantage. I'm a little jealous of you that you're getting all this free knowledge. People are paying you in essence. This is
they
what
are.
You're doing. They're paying you to learn.
Yeah.
You've got the ultimate scam. I seriously need to rethink my life.
Don't think that I haven't thought about that before. I'm serious. Jesus. But you don't want to publicize that, do you? That's sort of a little secret.
I may edit that out. I may make that a special, $50 course right there. Secret to growing your business, right there. They're just that. Free. No, this is a value-based podcast. I may edit a bit of it. I don't know. We'll make a decision later.
I'm absolutely fine if you put it out there.
I will, because it helps other people because then people start thinking about other things. Like not everybody's going to do it. I know that, but some people will, and that's going to help them. If it helps them, great, because everybody can be a millionaire nowadays thanks to the internet. It's pretty much true. Everyone can be a millionaire. Someone's going to be a millionaire in a different way that you're going to be a millionaire. Just because some people prefer this podcast editing style to your podcast editing doesn't stop them. It just, everybody can grow as their own. There's enough. Eden is open for everybody. There's enough apples for everybody.
I like it.
I don't know. Oh, we got some time. Okay, good. We got some time. I was checking the time. We're good. Anything else you want to share? How about some tips for one saving time on post-production and production of your podcast? This is your bread and butter. What would you suggest? Some quick, your top 3 tips for a newbie.
Yeah. So probably the first tip is to get the best recording you can in the first place. Because I spend, depending on the recording, I might spend as much as 30 to 40% of my editing time just repairing the audio. If I get a really rough recording, and that's something that as an independent podcaster, you may not be able to do yourself. And so you might spend hours and hours and hours trying to do that. So that would be one. Another one is fairly simple, but especially for a monologue show, if you are speaking and you mess up and you want to restart, leave a few seconds of silence, like 5 to 10 seconds of silence, and then start over like a sentence or two before where you messed up. And what that does is it gives you extra time to splice things together to make it sound natural so that you don't have to do that. And then the other one would just be, know what your goal is. And if your goal is not necessarily to have a completely free podcast, then kind of release yourself from some of that and pick off the easy ones, but maybe don't worry about the ones I don't know if you're familiar, but there's more than one way to use a filler word. Some people will say and pause and say something, and other people will slur them into the next set of words, or they'll put them right in the middle. Well, those can be really, really tricky and maybe even impossible to get out. So focus on doing the things you can do. Call it 90% of the time, and then just use that little tiny bit every once in a while to try and stretch your capability rather than trying to get every single one of them.
There you go. Just gold right there. That's worth at least $100 minimum. Each one, that's $300 value right there. Because it's true. I learned that when I was first editing podcasting. I was like, I'm going to make this perfect. No no nothing, no.
It's hard.
And I was like, I'm going to make an hour-long podcast because, that's the goal. The longer the podcast, the better.
Oh, yeah.
An hour of podcasting for me to get all the and all the worst was 3 hours of editing. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. It's no fun for me. So I started to, forget about the Let's just get the quality clean. That's all I care about. Clean audio. That's it. Let's get the audio clean. and then work on my words so I don't say and like and the other words that annoy the hell out of me that I don't want to say. So I have to learn to be better speaking and enunciate better as well so that everybody can hear me. My next step is upgrading my equipment so it's clearer, better for my guests, you know. That's my next goal. I have okay equipment, I find. I'm now thinking, I don't, but I didn't know better. Because like you said, I picked from free stuff everywhere saying, oh yeah, this guy says it's all good. This guy all said it's good. And I didn't listen to one person.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm going to listen to an audio expert. So like when I decide to get my next level of audio equipment, well, I've looked. I saw that Rodecaster Pro has a great podcast studio, pretty much.
Yeah. I've not touched it, but it looks really slick.
It looks fun. And I'm like, you know what? That's my goal. I have a goal. I'm going to try and get that. And if I get it, great. If not, well, Christmas and my birthday and Christmas and my birthday for the next 3 years, you know. Hopefully my family's very nice. But that's a goal. And then the next goal is getting you to edit my podcast. Because once that's done, yay.
One of the things you kind of touched on earlier that I think is really valuable is you mentioned bringing in a mentor. Mm-hmm. And taking the time to invest in yourself. And I don't want to put people in a position where they're trying to spend money that they don't have.
Oh, yes.
But I will say that there's tremendous value in finding an expert. And I'm not talking about me. I'm just talking about finding an expert who you trust and putting some money on the table. Like, because I don't know about you, but I've got probably 250 free courses sitting on my computer that I've never opened.
Yep.
But that course that I spent $20 on, that one's getting done. And that course that I spent $300 on, that one's getting done. Mm-hmm. Right. Because I said, you know what? This is important enough that I'm going to put some money on it. I'm going to put some skin in the game besides just giving them my email address so that I can throw them in my spam folder. Right. And there's like what I've found for myself when I invest money and I give myself the opportunity to fail publicly, I get better really fast.
Oh yeah. Cause like now I'm being held accountable because now I've announced it live because it wasn't before. On my other podcast, I told my family that how much I spent, and like now it's like if not, I'm like screwed. Like people are like, well, you spent money on a gym membership. That's different. A gym membership is like the same thing as giving someone my email address. No one's holding me accountable. They take my money automatically. Like no one's coming to my door and going, Philip, you owe us money. No, it's like it's gone. It's gone. So like, I know when I now know what this mentor is doing for me, because it's now like he's forcing me to be accountable to myself. And so it's great. And at the same time, I'm like, okay, now I have that mentor. Once I'm at that point where I'm okay and I want to do something else, I know I'm going to have to invest in another type of mentor or invest so someone else can do something that I don't want to be a mentor in, like podcast editing. So make sure you save a spot for me, please.
I mean, I do first come, first serve, but I do have a couple spots open.
Well, then make sure my checkbook's nice and open if I can. Dollars usually speak, so yay.
Yeah.
But no, like that's the thing. I know I'm being held accountable. Like you said, the minute you decide to invest in yourself for your podcast growth, or your, personal development, like working out. Like if I wanted to get a body like Adonis, I know I have to find someone that I can pay monthly to kick my ass to be Adonis. I don't want to be Adonis. Too much work. Way too much work. I'll be happy with, maybe a bit more of less of a dad bod. I'll be good. I'm happy. Something that's easy to manage. I don't need the rock hard abs. But that's it. Like you're slowly developing. You're at that point. You invested in a mentor, you're growing your podcast. You're at that tipping point of where do I go? Do I do this or do I do that? What do we do? And that's great because it encourages me. It encourages other people who have jumped on and go, okay, I'm at that level that I need to invest in my mentor. Like we're kind of at the same point, but we're not because we've invested in our mentorship, but you're further along than I am. But it's great because it's like when I get there, I know I can talk to you and be like, look, I was at the tipping point. Where did you hit your tipping point? You're like, when did you decide? And like, hopefully by that point, I'm paying you to do this. So it's a bit easier. You can tell me, Phil, it's now, do it now, jump now.
I think, the other thing that's a little bit interesting about that is it might seem like I'm further ahead right now, but the nature of things right now is that that doesn't mean you can't leapfrog.
Yeah.
Right. And be further ahead 6 months from now in terms of what you're doing than what I am because of your skill set, because of the resources, because of the timing, whatever. Like there's nothing that says that I get to stay ahead. Right.
No,
you could totally pass.
Like I can totally pass. And then I could be like, hey, you know what? Let me help bring you to where I am. Because if you're up where I am, that's great because then you can help me at certain points too. And then we're now at the same level. We're helping each other because you had a different mentor than I did. And my mentor taught me these skills while your mentor taught you these skills. And it's like, well, your skills taught you this and brought you that far. My skills taught me this. Let's see how we can, skill each other up to the next level or whatever, or introduce me to yours and vice versa. So like you learn, I learn, everybody learns and everybody grows at the different levels because once you start investing that time, that money into you, it pays in dividends. It's amazing. Now this is the last 5 minutes, last 10 minutes, whatever. Take the time, promote everything you have to promote, your podcast, your business, anything you want. This is your floor. Have at it. If you have deals coming up, courses, talk about your course. I want to hear about your course because maybe I'll pay for your course. Who knows? Okay. Go ahead. Go. It's yours.
Yeah. So I guess I do. We've talked about this. I do edit podcasts. And then I also have a course and I do offer consulting. You can find all of that at toptieraudio.com. I do both subcontracting. I also work with private individuals, typically small businesses, small business leaders, nonprofits, that kind of thing, building their shows. And I've got a number of different packages based on what kind of editing you want, because not everybody wants the same thing. You mentioned the course. I do have a course for Hindenburg users. It's designed for people that get sort of the basic version of Hindenburg and want to get up and running quickly. So it doesn't have any of the features that would cost you extra. It just covers, what do you need to know to basically go, I installed the software. I've now recorded, edited, and published my first podcast step by step. I've got just, I think, 3 videos that take you through that pretty quickly. And then 40 additional videos beyond that to go deeper into those subjects. So if you want to just go back and watch a 2-minute video on how to do this one thing, or you want to take it a little bit deeper, there's that. So that's that course. That is also at toptieraudio.com. It's all linked up right there. And then I also co-host a podcast that isn't necessarily aligned with my brand. It's the Podcast Editors Mastermind. And this is a show for podcast editors that are side hustle editors, full-time editors that really want to get their business going, whether it's up to the next level or solidifying what they're doing. We couldn't find another show out there for podcast editors that wasn't about the technical production skills. And we wanted to provide that. We're not experts. We're walking through this. It just came out of our mastermind. We'll bring on some experts. We bring people on and we help them workshop their issues, whether they're trying to grow their business or define their vision or whatever. We'll just help them workshop that. And that is at podcasteditorsmastermind.com. And of course, the key to getting people to take action is to provide multiple actions to take. So I would just encourage you, if you want to connect with me, hit me at toptieraudio.com, contact form there. And then if you have other questions, I'm glad to point you to my resources, other people's resources, whatever I've got. I'm glad to help you find what you need and connect you with other communities, whether it's mine or not, just to help you get connected with people.
There you go. See, that's what podcasting is about, people. Look, he has everything, of course, top links in the description. All, of course, it's going to be always my guest stuff because they are the star of the show. I'm just sitting here going, please teach me something I don't know. Of course, his course is probably going to be already been. How much is your course actually? Let them know how much your course is so that, because I need to know.
Sure. Yeah, lazy. It's $99. And that'll get you the start to finish everything.
and it's probably worth more than $90 or $99 or $100. It's probably worth $1,000, but don't tell him he should raise his price, because I want to buy it first as soon as I take a look at more reviews. But I trust your review because you're a podcast editor. You're the first one I did. You do it for a living, so I trust you, and your audio quality is already far better than mine. You said words that I didn't understand when we first started connecting, talking, and I'm like, shit, what do I do? And then I'm like, wait, Phil, you're an idiot. It's Zoom that's the problem, not you're an idiot. So that's what I learned today. I'm an idiot, but I'm learning because he's like, you should try this Hindenburg. It's made for dialogue, and I like talking. And he just nearly sold me on the Hindenburg. I'm going to do my research, but if I'm going to jump on the Hindenburg, I'm going to take his course because I trust him, as you should too. If you're a podcast and you're looking to get to the next level, this could be it. This could be technically your moment to invest. It's $90. Look, 9 months, $10 a pay. Boom. $90 US. Boom. Saved. And you pay and you learn. And you're helping a guy. You're helping a guy make the decision and invest in himself. There we go, people. There we go. That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the outro is going to roll now. I want to again thank you, Bryan, for being a guest on my show and bringing so much knowledge. Like your top 3 tips, that was amazing right there. That's instant value. Instant value. That's $300 right there, given for free. Your course, another course that's probably it's probably worth more than $90 that you're selling it at, or the $99. But don't raise your price yet. Let me buy it first, then raise your prices. But yeah, no, it's great. I can't wait to take a look at it and learn from it when I'm ready to make that jump. And I'm ready because I want to bring my podcasting to the next level, like everybody does, right? So thank you very much for being on the podcast again, sir. You are awesome. And remember, everybody, invest in yourself. How great was that episode with Bryan? And just fantastic, learning about his Hindenburg journalist program and his course. It's an amazing thing, people. I already joined up. It's great. I think you should too. You'll find amazing value in that. Also, check him out at toptieraudio.com. He's on Facebook. Check out his website. The links, of course, always the show notes down below. And of course, as I told you, this episode was sponsored by Kirsty from last episode and her Forex program, so you should check that as well. It is in the show notes down below. I want to thank Bryan again for being a guest, and I thank you guys for listening each week. And just one thing for you to do, just tell one friend about this podcast, tell one person about the show if you guys enjoyed this episode. I thank you very much and wish you guys good night, and remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.